Hello and welcome back to the channel, Kelly Legends Media. I want to say thank you to all the subscribers, all of you who come by and watch the videos periodically, and those of you who hit the like and the hype buttons. Thank you very much. Also, those of you who leave the comments, I appreciate you. It's a way to show support to the channel without it costing anything, so it's highly appreciated. Okay, so today's video is going to it's pretty much driven by my comment section, okay? Now, since I started this channel, I would receive different comments from various people at different times. Let me explain. EBK, Conejo, rest in peace. I still have subscribers that came over from Conejo, okay? And of course, I welcomed them. There was no issue, and there still is no issue. But I remember during that time when Conejo went and made a video, and he included me in it, or basically included my video. You know, he did like a reaction video on one of my videos, and people sent over comments saying, "Hey, this guy, he locked it up. You know, he's this and that. You know." And I just would acknowledge them, all right. And it continued, you know, later on, the same thing happened with Dubs, with various content creators, okay? And even when I would do reaction videos to their videos, something that they would say that I disagreed on, people would still put comments, "Hey, why do you answer these guys? Why do you pay attention to what they're saying and this and that? These vatos are no good, this and that. They locked it up. They did this." And okay, look. Now, my main reason for being real leery about going on various different podcasts or having any of them over on my channel is that later on you find out something about them, and you always have that like dark cloud over you, you know. Well, you made a video with this dude, you made it, you know, you went on this dude's channel and stuff. And I could see there'd be an issue with that, you know. But when I'm answering somebody's comments, or if they do a video, especially if they do a video about me, I'm going to answer what they're talking about if it's not true, okay? If not, what they say stays out there in people's heads. And they begin to poison the people's minds. And it happens. I watch it happen. I've seen it happen. It's even happened to me. So I received a comment on this last video I did regarding Renegade Media doing a video and Slugs taking that video and running with it and expounding on it, okay? And I did a response video, a reaction video to it, because it was not true, and these guys are just making up stuff and putting things on the internet that they know nothing about. So, you know, I had to let that be known, because somebody's putting, like, I'll give you a for instance, the thing I did about Slugs when he said that I talked about his wife, or I was attacking his family. He made a big old pedo trying to get a bunch of views out of it. And yeah, I caught some shit for it, because a lot of people didn't see the whole video, didn't pay attention. They had to go back and watch it. And even subscribers were saying, "Hey, you said it was just an example. What's all these people's problems?" You know, and I still hear people speaking that narrative. So I know that whenever something's put out there in social media, It plants the seeds. It plants these seeds in people's heads. Okay. So I often speak, especially when it's them doing it, and they're not talking stuff that's true, you know. Um, or if I feel they're getting information from somewhere that that they shouldn't be getting information from, which could only be the police or the feds. We know that you're both listening. Both the police and the feds are listening. So, like Renegade Media, he has to be working for somebody, because he's got more information about barrios down here than even the people in their barrios, So obviously he's getting that information from somewhere, and I'm sure homeboys ain't calling him up and giving him this cheese, man. He knows too much about everything. It's obvious where it's coming from. It's coming from somewhere in law enforcement. That's my opinion. Anyways, so those two examples, I would speak on that most definitely and let the people know and give them something to think about. Okay? But somebody made a comment on this last video I did about these two characters, right? And they said, man, why are you even acknowledging these people, man? They're both pesetas, they're both PCs. Why do you even give them a voice? I don't give them a voice. YouTube gives them that voice. You know that the prison genre has multitudes of PCs that come on and tell their stories and make channels and get into beefs and the whole shot. So there's only a few of us that don't have jackets like that, who've never rolled it up, that are still in our neighborhoods, that'll be in our neighborhoods, or at least from our neighborhoods till we die. It's just a lifestyle that we adopted since we were kids, and we're still homies, So basically, for me, the only problem I see with it is if I was to return to prison. If I was to return to prison and had went and I met with one of these guys, or I put one of these guys on my channel and interviewed him or something, yeah, there would be a huge problem, I'm sure. And I don't want to deal with that. I know the streets ain't loyal. Sonny, Big Sonny says, he's not part of that lifestyle. He's going to college. He's with his family. He's doing his thing, and he don't care about none of that. He's taking everybody face value, and that's okay because the chances of Sonny ever returning to prison are, I think, even slimmer than mine. Okay, why? Because I'm still here in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? Something could happen any day of the week. I could run into somebody step wrong and one ends up in the dirt, the other ends up in prison for life. I don't want to be in the receiving end of either one of those things. But it could happen, or the way the law works these days, someone could just say something about me and they will take me in and do a big old investigation and just try to convict you on things that they make up. I've seen it happen. I believe they try to do it to me. So I'm real leery about the police and me going to jail, man. I hope I never do. My plans are to live out the rest of my life peacefully and with my family and taking care of my family and staying free. That's my goal, As far as these guys that dropped out and stuff, I have nothing to do with them. I've even stopped even leaving little comments on their or questions on their comment section. I just stay away from everything. You know what I mean? I just do me, my content, and deal with my subscribers and the people in my comment section. And if one of these guys happen to, to make something up, some outrageous bullshit like Renegade Media did, and Slugs spoke on, then I'm going to speak on it, because that's something serious, and you don't be playing and talking about things like that. You put me and Hoodstocks in a bad position, in a bad situation. You make people think wrong. You make people think false things that aren't true. And so I did a response, and I'll do it to Dubs if he gets one day his drunk ass decides to talk smack. I'm gonna smack him back. That's just the way I am. But as far as going and meeting them, going and seeing them, doing things with them, being on their channels and stuff, I don't go there. So anyways, I'm doing this video because especially my subscribers and those of you who come through and watch the videos, I would appreciate it if you go in my comment section and just give me a little bit of feedback, man. What you really think about doing a video responding to these things? I'd like to get a feel, especially from my subscribers, on that type of behavior. I know what I could talk about and what I can't talk about being here on social media, so I don't want to hear, oh, you shouldn't be on social media. Because if it was a problem, I would have been told it was a problem by now or a long time ago. But as long as I don't talk about certain things, I know it's a slippery slope, man. I got to stay away from it. So that's what I stay away from, And that's in keeping my way of keeping good, even though I'm not doing anything. I don't commit crime. I'm not out on the street hunting old enemies down, committing crime, stealing and doing all kinds of dumb shit, writing on walls, hitting up people, and going out and pushing myself into a bad situation eventually. I just live my life, do my thing, and I'm gonna continue to do that until I hear differently from somebody that that knows about this situation. So yeah, my channel, I don't have a problem being on the channel, but as far as engaging these babosos when they say something or do something, let me know what you guys think about that. Seriously, just so I could get a feel and kind of gauge how my people are thinking. Yeah, I highly appreciate that. That being said, I just want to say, God bless you. God bless your family. Stay safe, people. Stay free. Stay out from behind those walls, from behind them jail bars. And let's be out here for our families and our loved ones in case they need us or in case something happens and we want to be there for them. Okay? That's what's important. I'm sorry that I cannot respect the fact that some people decided to get themselves in trouble, make a commitment to something, and then either miss up so bad or just pee on yourself and go to the other side. There's different reasons why people do things. In J-Han's case, I believe he's just a J-Cat, and the Vatos didn't want him anymore. He tripped over himself too many times, and they're like, man, get rid of this fool. He could say whatever he wants to say, but yeah, based on his behavior and what's come out of his mouth, that's who this guy is to me. Snugs is a different story. I don't even want to talk about that fool. I really don't care. He did what he did. That's something I couldn't live with. I could not live with myself if I did that. There was a dude, man, that got hurt really bad in a situation, ended up on life support, and he from there he was going to have to go into SNYPC yard. He couldn't go back. They're going to keep hurting that boy. He took that stuff, all of the tubes and his life support off, and everything, and it was like, man, If I gotta live like that, I don't want to live. You know, if I can't live the way I want to live and stick to what I believe in, I don't want to be part of nothing. Especially he didn't want to go to that side. He just rather just be free, man, and take off and leave this planet. You know, and yeah, I just don't want to. I just don't want to have to live with that. I don't. That's just me. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people could live with doing things like that. They're fine with it. They, they can't use their family for an excuse. So I wanted to change my life and all of that. You could have did that when you got out. You know, you were there in prison for a reason. When they were done getting whatever justice they felt they needed for you to sit down, when you got out, you could have changed your life, whatever life you had left, and headed in the right direction. You know, I found my exit, and I took it. My own homeboys were telling me, "Hey, kick back. You know, you don't need to do nothing no more. You've done your thing. That's it, man. You know, leave that to the youngsters. Just, you know." And I thought about it, and I'm like, shit, yeah, man, I don't have too much time left. I'm going to enjoy the little bit of time I have as best I can, and, you know, spend it more with family more than anything, and people who are around me and that show they care, you know. I'd recommend you do the same before you grow old and you're looking back on a life spent on living in some way that wasn't profitable to you, where you could have done better. Anyways, that being said, thank you for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.